Good morning, everybody. This is Steve here from the Urban Worm Company. It is Saturday morning, May 23rd. It is Memorial Day weekend, and it is raining outside. It's about 8 in the morning, and my kids are inside. Their brains are rotting away on their screens. So I thought, what a good opportunity for me to just come out to the barn, turn on the camera and talk a little bit about worms. And this is going to be kind of a regular thing that I'm going to try to do. I may do it via live stream. I may do it just straight up via pre-recorded stuff that I can kind of do some post-production on and make it look slick. I'm not exactly sure, but no matter what, I want to get some video content out there for you guys. Every week I'm going to be answering one or two reader questions that are submitted. These are often going to be paraphrased. I won't expose the person's name or read exactly what they wrote, but these are for the most part going to be very common questions that I get very, very frequently. I may just turn on the camera, deliver a couple tips that are not reader submitted, but then I'll get to a reader submitted question to answer. So I'm really looking forward to doing this. I want to get good at this. I want to get better at this whole video thing, and it's really kind of a medium that I have not explored too much. So this is called Coffee and Compost. I'm typically going to do this in the morning. I'm typically going to do it with a coffee in my hand, and we're just going to have kind of a freewheeling conversation. So here we go. I got a letter or an email from somebody basically saying, Steve, I have here's how I'm preparing the food in my worm bin. I do this and that. I puree the food and I put it in there and I have mites. And she was kind of talking about these things as though they were separate, but a light bulb came on for me at that time about why she has mites. And it actually has to do with because she is pureeing her food. So if you've been reading any of the stuff on urbanwormcompany.com or essentially watching any of the webinars that I've done this spring, the one thing that I kind of am pounding the table on is moisture content in the worm bin. Most people run their worm bins way, way, way too wet. And so if you think of food waste, let's get back to the pureeing issue here. A lot of people want to puree their food or blend it or chop it up into really small pieces because it essentially helps the decomposition process. And it's essentially, if you want to see an orgy of worms attacking food, go ahead and puree it, put it in your bin, and sure enough, that's going to happen. But here's the problem with that, is that food waste is, for the most part, 85 to 90% water content. And one way we know this, that if anybody has a Vitamix at home or one of those high-speed like Ninja blenders or whatever, if you put a solid fruit in there that actually doesn't seem like it's that waterlogged, and you end up putting that through one of these food processors, it will literally turn into soup. And it's going to turn into soup because it's mostly water. So again, 85 to 90% of most veggie and fruit waste that you're going to put into a worm bin is water content. What we do by chopping it up like that is we unbound the water that's currently bound up in the cell walls, and it is a fast release of that water. So a good way of thinking about this is if I handed you 20 gallons of water and asked you to drink it, you'd say, yeah, sure, I can do that. Give me a couple weeks and we'll make that happen. But if I said, okay, here's 20 gallons of water, but I want you to open up your mouth and I'm gonna shove in a fire hose and we're gonna deliver that 20 gallons right now, that would be a far different experience for you. And by pureeing the food, that is essentially what you are doing with a worm bin, is you are not adding more water otherwise, but you're adding more water in a shorter period of time. And that water cannot be absorbed quickly enough by the surrounding vermicompost. So this gets back to the mite issue. This reader asked this question. I don't think that she connected the two, but I kind of did, and it was something I was happy to be able to do, because the mites are attracted to wet conditions and they're attracted to wet food. That's why if you put a lot of cantaloupe or watermelon in your worm bin, the worms are going to love it, but so are the mites because of the water content. So By pureeing your food, or very, very finely chopping it up, you are taking that water and releasing it immediately into your worm bin. At which point that water, if you're not adding a ton of bedding to help sop up that excess moisture, is going to drain down into your worm bin. It's going to occupy the pore spaces that are currently what is oxygenating your vermicompost. The microbes are then going to consume the available oxygen in that liquid, but because the liquid is there and not the air, it's not going to be able to be reoxygenated over time. So you can end up with an anaerobic worm bin if it is a wet worm bin. So anyway, guys, I hope that was helpful. If you liked it, love for you to subscribe. Hit the subscribe button on YouTube. If you're seeing this on Facebook, I'd love for you to go like the Urban Worm Company. We're going to start streaming this stuff out to various sources. So like us wherever you can. Instagram at Urban Worm Co. So I look forward to doing this more. I think that I'm gonna really enjoy this. And if you have any questions, I would love for you to put it in the comments below. Or you can email them to steve@urbanwormcompany.com. I'm probably going to send you an email and answer your question right away, but I may use it for a future episode. So anyway, thanks guys. I will talk to you again soon.